Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the closing bell for Friday, February 25th, 2022. For everyone that's been following us today, been a hell of a day, quite busy. We started the morning off with Bernie Fratto at Fox Sports Radio, and for someone that's a diehard baseball fan like myself, amazing 45 minutes. Well, actually an hour, because we had trouble with the first part of the show. Listening to someone that was there in the trenches in 94 and giving us the reality of exactly what is going on in today's lockout, something I know I'm not happy to hear, and it'll be interesting to hear when I talk to our co-host in a second here, Scott, his thoughts. I almost get, and it's hard to believe this, that there's been, if my math is correct, a 28-year vendetta by the owners here, with the players walking out on them and canceling the World Series. And they'll say, we'll get you, don't you worry. And you know, to be where we are today with a Monday deadline. And myself and Scott have talked about it behind the scenes, and no one's feeling anything right now because no one's losing any money. But once you start to cancel regular season games, the players are going to start to feel this. And as we get longer into this year, you're going to have NHL and NBA playoffs. You're going to have the football drafts, before you know it, the OTAs, and then people will say, "Yeah, we went this long without baseball. Who the hell needs it?" And it's a black eye in the sport, and it's something that, once you start losing 20, 40, 60 games played, accelerated seasons, it's hard to get back that audience, especially when it's summertime and kids are out of school, people go on vacation. For me, I have the Cape Cod Baseball League, so I will have baseball. I know that for a fact, but I really want MLB. So, Bernie, thank you. An amazing day with, I said, a weekend with Bernie instead of a weekend at Bernie's. And then we flew to the Windy City at 2:00 with our buddy Riley Magnuson, talking NBA, talking Big Ten, talking hoops, and big weekend ahead. We went over some games for tonight and for this weekend in the Big Ten. So super stoked. But let me bring my co-host, and I know he's chomping at the bit right now. And let's bring him in from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon, Jeff. It sounds like an eventful day so far today.
Well, I'll start by saying I woke up to about 7 inches of slush. How's that sound? And my back is fried. That wet, heavy crap, started to snow, winter sleet, then rain, and just a pain in the you know what. The funny thing is, when Riley came on, the plow trucks finally decided to show up, and the dog was howling and howling in the studio. So maybe that's an omen. The dogs will be barking tonight and this weekend. How's that?
Well, I suppose that's one way to look at it, right? I mean, that's a sign, right? I mean, that's how you look at some of this stuff and go, "Holy shit, that's telling me to do this."
Well, I said in the preface, and I'm going to say it again. Bernie didn't paint a good picture. We've been following him, obviously, on Twitter, reading his clips, listening to him on Saturdays. Um, great sources. He was pretty blunt, saying, "No, it's not going to happen on Monday." He kind of used this phrase, "Who blinks first?" Playing chicken. The numbers that he was giving me were just crazy from what one side's offering to the other side. It's pretty comical, to be honest with you. But you and I have held out hope. We're still going to hold out hope. I went from one candle to three candles now lit. But just, tell everyone where you think, where you are. It's 4:40 on Friday. It's 90 plus hours till the deadline. Where are you?
Well, with all due respect to everyone, because that's the way I got to preface this. Did you know who David Sampson is, by the way?
No.
He used to be an executive for the now Miami Marlins when they were the Florida Marlins, and when I lived on the east coast of Florida, I had a special relationship with the Marlins. Back in the day, I was a store manager, ran a store for Best Buy. And I made relationships with the Florida Marlins because they came to West Palm Beach area for the training. That's where Roger Dean is. And that's where those guys are meeting, by the way. And I met with sales executives that sold the tickets. They want perks and benefits that, like Best Buy people can provide them. We want to buy, I don't know, compact radios and this and that and whatever for giveaways. And ended up meeting with the clubhouse manager, and the clubhouse manager was special to me. And he was special because the clubhouse manager takes care of the players. He's the guy they go to. Hey, Jeff, can you get me? And I need this new video game. Hey, can you get me somebody that contacts me with? I need a new TV. I need this. I need that. So guess who they called all the time? They called me. And I had a great relationship with those guys. And when they won the World Series, I don't know what the hell was going on. They didn't have a goddamn camera, so they called me. And I got him a digital camera to go down there and take the pictures of the World Series rings. I had a World Series ring on my finger. I held it. I seen it. It was in my hands. I understand how the bonuses get paid out for the World Series and the players, and not only the players, but all the executives and the people and whoever they want them to have. The players decide that. It's weird. Anyway, David Sampson was an executive level person. Businessman in that organization at the time. I bring that up because what we think we know shit about, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to anybody. And you can relate what you want to what you think, and you can build a story around it, and it sounds great coming out of your mouth. It means shit. I don't mean that disrespectfully, so don't take it that way. David Sampson just replied to an email or to a text from Passan, Jeff Passan, and everybody respects Jeff Passan's work, right? And Jeff Passan puts these numbers out about baseball teams, and this happened to be the Atlanta Braves, and he put a spreadsheet out there and says, "Oh, look, we got numbers. This team made, I don't know, I remember what it was. It was something in the neighborhood of $200 million last year. That's what the team made, whatever." And then David says, you're just wrong. Those numbers on a spreadsheet like that look like a P&L. They look like what you think they are, but they're not. I've been in the room. I've sat in the room. I have worked on the numbers. I've seen the numbers. And what you don't realize is teams actually don't make money. There are teams that don't make money. Not every team, some teams. And you're broadcasting and putting this out there like a media person does, with the idea that everybody's going to understand that, yes, every single team falls into the line where they all make money. And that's not true. And he said they are that way. And I know because I'm in the business, right? So when you talk to somebody, you got to be careful what you listen to. You take the segments of their theme, and they make sense. Some of that stuff does, right? So again, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody, and I'm certainly not trying to be disrespectful to Bernie or anybody else who has a opinion that's negative or different or various than mine. But I look at it this way. These are scenarios and people that will eventually get this deal done before and not lose a game. They won't miss. The reason is because the money variance is not as big as what everybody makes it out to be. These are entities that are worth billions of dollars. They're not millions of dollars entities, billions of dollars. And when you're starting to talk about a number, and the CBT number, for example, and the $30 million gap for every team, right? Whatever that is, $30 million to a baseball team is what they pay, or what they're going to pay Carlos Correa for 1 year. Okay. So stop with the whole idea that $30 million a team is expensive, because it's not. And stop with the idea that $30 million a team is a big gap, because it's not. There's a lot of other things that are in play, like the average salary that the players make, and how terrible it is, and how bad it is, or not the minimum salary. I'm telling you, Jeff, it's if you got paid $650,000 to go be a Major League Baseball player, you would jump out of your goddamn seat, run to the nearest bus, get on that bus, get to the goddamn stadium, and put your cleats on and start playing. That's what you would do. What do you think these guys do? That's exactly what they do. They are excited to be a Major League Baseball player. And if you make $600,000 a year, you're in great shape. Then the general public has to realize that this is not millionaires versus billionaires. These are its associates and their bosses. That's what it is. And the associates are trying to negotiate a better scenario through the union to their bosses. Well, the bosses are saying, go screw yourself. You're getting the game of the way it's going to be, and we'll give you some good faith measures and change some things around. And if you want pre-arbitration, we'll give you pre-arbitration. Okay. But it's going to be on our terms, not yours. Everything's going to be on our terms, not yours. We'll bridge some of those gaps. We'll do some of those things. And I know that everybody comes at this, and me being a former player and everything else, I look at it from a lot of perspectives. But I'm a businessman these days. I'm an owner backer, not a player backer. And the reality becomes is once the players start to get a little bit of that give from the owner, it's over. They're going to buy in and done. It's done. Once one of these guys come through and says, you know what, guys, let's just give them this. And they give them whatever it is. And they meet them halfway in the middle on whatever it is. The players are going to go, pow, pow, pow. It's time to go play ball. Let's go.
It's funny you bring that up the way you brought it up. The locals were talking about Harry Sinden and the Boston Bruins. And for all the locals, we understand it was a business. Harry owned the team, but it was all about the concessions. It was all about the beer sales. It was all about the hot dogs and the food and everything like that. And in Harry's world, crazy as it is, it wasn't about the Stanley Cups. Of course, that's your number one goal, but it was actually how many home games and gates did we get that season in the playoffs? That was all about. And so
Why do you think? Why do you think that the owners want to have? So the owners want to give this playoff thing more teams. Why do you think they want to do that? Well, they do that because they make more money. But guess who doesn't? The players don't make any more money for being in the playoffs than they do by playing 162 games. So to the players, it's like, okay, whatever. To the owners, it's like, look, we're going to recover some of the monies that we might give to you on a different level by doing certain other things. At some point, Jeff, one of these teams, one of the sides, and it's going to be where the owners go, look, I'm going to give you this. And the players are going to go, holy shit, I'm going to take that. That's the best thing we're probably going to get. And then they take it. And then all of a sudden it's a done deal because the other stuff that they're talking about is all tiny little bullshit stuff. And these things that everybody's talking, oh, these are just so wide, vast crevices nobody can get across. You can't build a bridge across this shit. It's way too big. That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this weekend.
But again, I'm not in the damn room, just like the other people aren't in the damn room. So if you're not in the room, you're only hearing hearsay. And here's a story about hearsay. Everybody knows who George Patton is, right? The famous general, World War II general, famous, great leader. Well, a guy wrote a book about him for business. And it was not, obviously, George Patton didn't go run companies. And this is a short story, so we'll get into the games. But the point of the matter is, when George Patton had to make choices, he had to make choices for vast armies and hundreds of thousands, if not, I don't know, more than that, men that are putting their life on the line. So he has his subordinates, and his subordinates have to give him information so he can make these choices and decisions. But he said this. He said, I can't always trust what they tell me, not because I'm fearful of what they're going to say is wrong or that they're going to out and out lie to me, but it's because their eyes see something that my eyes may not. Their eyes and their interpretation of what they see may not be what I need to hear. So when they give me the information that I got to make this vast decision on, I might be making a decision based on something that's not even true or not even where I need it to be. So it's my job to go to the front lines and verify and see for my damn self. And when I see for myself, now I know where things truly are, not the interpretation of where they think they are. And that's what happens when the people aren't in the room. So when you're not in the room and you're not hearing and you don't know what the discussions are, all you're hearing is that first person's viewpoint on the question that got answered when they asked the question. So I just discredit almost all this stuff. Sorry.
No, and I'll close with this part so we can get to the games. I know baseball, I know purists, I know, the early 1900s to start, the history for the most part of the game. I just cherish it. I love it. And when we ever talk change, it's like we can't do that. We nothing can be changed. We can't ruin this game, and we know this game is broken when it comes to time, when it comes to 30-second shot clocks. Now they're talking about for pitchers. I saw a kid from Vanderbilt now with almost like a watch that was telling him which pitch, and it's technology versus no. There's no such thing. We can't do stuff like that. And was it last year or the year before? You couldn't step out of the batter's box and all the stupid stuff. And they did it for a week, and then David Ortiz takes a step out, fixes his glove. Nomar, they do. They're all superstitious. the fact of the matter is, you know, maybe we don't need 162 games. Maybe 140 benefits everyone. As you said, the players make the same at the end of the regular season as they do making the playoffs and winning the World Series.
Well, if you change the number of games, they don't.
I understand that, but you can make it so they do. That's my whole
Sure.
point.
I mean, you do whatever you want.
As I told Bernie, you're talking about minor league players here making $640,000 a year, which for the average person is a hell of a salary. It's the fact that they've reached their dreams. My goal is always to play in the majors. While I'm getting paid $640,000 a minor league salary. Okay. There are guys in the NBA that make $640,000 a game. Think about that for a second. They're not riding buses in through Des Moines, Iowa, through the cornfields to get to their next game and sleeping in a flea bag motel with no air condition. Okay. They're making that a game. And yes, I know billion-dollar contracts, sports, TV deals, overseas, China. I get all that. But this is the one sport that plays 162 games. Okay. And some people don't call it, well, listen, they there's no such thing as load management in baseball either. Yeah, people take a game off here and there, but the true guys want to play 160, 150 games if they can. So the price point as you're talking about, you're right. If I was making 650 and I got a raise to 675, I'd be happy. And the other 400 guys would be happy. But as Bernie said, and it's true, it's going to cost these teams, that the owners, maybe $2, $3, $4 million each out of their pocket because they have 10 of these guys or something like that.
Well, I would just say this. Comparing a minor league baseball player at $600,000 to a guy that makes $600,000 on an NBA game are two different things, and that's apples and oranges. The size of Major League Baseball, including minor league players, is way bigger than the NBA. The team size is way bigger. The amount of money that comes in isn't necessarily, the TV deals isn't necessarily bigger, even because no matter how many games they play. So if you have X number of dollars come in, let's just say you got $100 that comes in, and you got 12 guys on your team, you can afford to play those 12 guys more than you got if you had $100 and you got 28 guys on your team, and then a minor league system that you have to pay. So that's a very, very different analogy. Now, having said all of that stuff, I still will say this, that in the business world out there today, the average United States salary is $55,000 a year. That's what an average American makes. And if you are in the $250,000 range, you're with the 1%. You're the 1% of everybody else. So if you're a Major League Baseball player, you're in the 1%. And that's just the way it is. And I get it. If you want to make $30 million a year as a baseball player or as a basketball player or as whatever, you better be damn good at what it is you do. I mean, damn good. Now, that's the difference between $600,000 players and $30 million players. $30 million players also draw people to the seats. $600,000 people don't. So there's a lot of things in play there. So again, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not necessarily a for players guy. I'm not necessarily a for business owners guys either, other than it's their league. The players are the players. They own the teams. So they better get their shit together. And I think it's just going to come down to one of those owners guys, whoever's coming in now to help to do the negotiations, is going to say, hey, look, You guys that are in the mid markets here or whatever are going to have to figure out your own business process and your own business model. We're going to give them a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then all of a sudden the baseball players are going to go, shit, we got something, let's go, it's time to put the cleats on, and then they're out there playing.
And finally, I go back to when Mookie turned down 330 or something from the Red Sox, and some of these guys, the Acunas of the world, the Francos of the world, taking their monies while they're young. And then we can just close with this part of it. Juan Soto turned down $350 million. So I really, again, it's hard for us when these guys are turning down monies like that to feel sorry for them. I do feel bad for the small guys. And I think that the minor leagues really should be taken care of better. Before they get up to the dance. And I worry about some of the guys that never get up to the dance, that they spent their whole lives dreaming to get there, got paid pennies on the dollar, and now what are they doing? They're at the minor league parks selling programs. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is life goes on, and so many of these athletes, they're called athletes, are so gifted, and God gave them something that 99% of the people will never have or never see. And some people just throw it away. Some people take advantage of it. And there are some that are blinded by it and are ruined by it.
Well, I mean, it's like anything else in life. All of that is all the same. Every person does things different. And the truth is, every person has a bunch of skill sets. Some are different than others. Some are better than others. But when the skill sets are similar, the difference is all of what's in your head and how tough-minded you are to deal with adversity and deal with success and deal with everything else, and drive yourself and be driven over what the other guy is. That's really what it is. And Major League Baseball is no different. The players are all talented players, and worst case scenario, Jeff, was we always got the goddamn KBO.
And you look at where MLB is though right now, is the fact of the matter. How hard is it now? Back in the day, you tried to get that big contract when you were 25, 26, 27 in your prime. And then you always set it up so you got that one last deal when you were 32, 33. And
I got ruined.
It's ruined. It's gone.
That got ruined because analytics are in the game, and PEDs are out. So these guys that get older dive off and drop off the edge. They're not Tom Brady running around out there at 44 years old hitting baseballs out of the ballpark anymore. The analytics don't pay those salaries anymore. So that. But I'll just be honest and say it this way. Look, let's say you made $15 million a year on your first good salary for I don't know, for say it was 7 years. So what is that? $85 million, $90 million, whatever it is, $100 million. So you made $100 million. Okay. And now you want your from 27 or 30 or from 32 to whatever age, your retirement number. And you want like $25 million a year? Are you kidding me? That happened back in the day. So that's the albatross contracts of like Albert Pujols. You cannot do that shit anymore. There is no possible way that's a business model that works for any level. You can't bring enough fans to the stands to pay that salary for a guy who sits on the bench or can't. And the only reason you got him is because you got to pay him anyway. So he sits there or he does whatever. And is I don't want to say not grateful in his way out of the profession because he's making the money. But, it is what it is. And you're not going to see those contracts ever again. So the younger players are now they're getting paid, they're who Mike Trout, $425 million contract he signed, $400 million. Don't tell me that these guys aren't getting their money.
There's some games to be played tonight. People, thank you so much for hanging in there. I know our loyal guys are here, Mr. Lucky, Billy Hewlin, Marty Lowe, our Twitch and YouTube guys. Thank you. We did just talk some baseball because it's so important to us. We will survive without it. But when you have big guests on and you want to go over the whole kit and caboodle, because the next 90 hours are imperative, for us, and we'll keep you updated on speed dial, our timelines and stuff like that. Scotty, there's 9, 3, 6, 9 NBA games. I talked some of these games with Riley earlier today. The board's yours. Take it away.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff. I liked yesterday's games better than I like today's games. Yesterday I ended up going 1-1. Today, there's two games that I have my eye on, one, and I'm going to pass on one of them. And so that is Minnesota, Philadelphia. Going into the break, Philadelphia was playing really bad. Minnesota played yesterday, beat Memphis, played really well. So I kind of like the idea that Minnesota is got that one game under their belt. The rust mechanism is off because they were behind 10 points in the first quarter, and ended up winning that game. And this is going to be, I'm pretty sure that Harden's playing tonight. So I think this is the number one spot here. And I think that, here's what my numbers say. My number comes out to a score of 111 to 105. So it's not a big score, but it's 6-point win for Minnesota. So, and I thought, and based on what I'm looking at with pregame, Minnesota was the favorite at the beginning. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's 2.5. It was open on pregame at 2.5 for Philadelphia. Now it's down to 2. And then I think when I looked at it on Wager Talk, it was 1 or 1.5 or something, and it's up to 2. So I guess it depends on what you think about, because if you think about it, the Sixers at -2.5 and it's now -2, and 78% of the money, 83% of the tickets is on the Sixers, that's reverse line movement the other way.
I'll tell you this: Minnesota did open up 1, then they announced Harden would play, so they flipped it to 2, 2.5. That was one game all three of us do agree on is the T-Wolves. And I also want to, if people aren't following pregame and don't understand it, go to pregame.com, hit Game Center, hit games, and then hit consensus. You'll see what we're talking about. And hats off now. 2-0, Scotty. Good eyes. Texas Tech over Baylor. And last night, Nashville had the 175,000 on them. And they did win in the shootout, but they did win. So whoever put those bags up there, congrats again.
And then so I do like the Minnesota. I do like Minnesota tonight. And the other one that I like is I like the Utah Jazz. I know Dallas has been playing well, but Utah's been playing better. And looking back at the history of the performance of these two teams, when they're in Utah, typically they win by 8, 9, 10, 12 points. They and the lines are like this, 5 or 6 or 4 or whatever. I always look when I play a Utah game, I want to know if Gobert's playing, and Gobert is in the lineup tonight. He makes a huge difference on that team when he plays. So he's the eraser on the backboard in the defense. So I will take Utah minus the 5.5, take Minnesota plus the 2.5. And the other thing about that Utah game. So let me pull this up. Well, I got it right here. So in these scenarios, which is kind of interesting because there's not hardly any time that these guys get 3 days off. So coming off of 3 days or more at rest, the Utah Jazz are 5-0 in average margin, not average margin. That's the wrong way to say it. Their point differential gain is 23. And if you look at the same scenario and the same number for Dallas, they've played 3 of those games, ain't won one. And they are minus 11 point differential. So I'm taking Utah in this game. So I like both of those. Minnesota plus 2.5, Utah minus 5.5.
Why, before you jump ship, I just want to ask you a question here, and it's starting to get publicy, and it wasn't from the start. Toronto and Charlotte. Toronto at Charlotte opened at 2, still at 2. 51% of the bets, 56% of the money on Toronto as a road favorite, and it caught our eyes. And I was just curious what your numbers say.
My numbers like Charlotte.
Okay.
My number says, well, all the way around there like Charlotte. So it's a 7-point Charlotte win for my numbers.
All right. Let's jump into college.
But
It's not.
I didn't play that game, Jeff, because Charlotte's 2-9 in their last 11 games.
Okay. Small slate in college hoops. Just a couple things that kind of sort of caught our eye. Akron at Ohio, 867, 868 on the rotation at 6 p.m. Line opened at 7, now 7.5 on Ohio, yet 60% of the bets, 72% of the money on Akron. If those numbers are correct, there is reverse line movement on Ohio.
Well, this is another interesting game in a sense that this isn't a big matchup, but there's $76,000 bet on this game. 57% of the money's on Ohio, 52% of the tickets on Akron.
All right. And it's that lone 6 o'clock start, so everyone trying to wet their whistle. As I always say here on Fridays, it's a great day to fade the public. It's payday. Public is a favorites and over for the most part. So if you can be contrarian today, you generally can do okay. Rotation number 873, 874, Northwestern at Penn State. Penn State opened at 2. At Circa did drop to 1.5, now back to 2. It's 1.5 at Westgate and South Point. Yet 70% of the bets, 57% of the money on the Nittany Lions of Penn State.
Showing 93,000 on the game, 69% of the money, 82% of the tickets on Penn State.
Yeah, I'm showing reverse line movement here on Northwestern. I talked about it. Penn State at home as short favorites reminds me of Rutgers. And listen, Penn State's not Rutgers this year. Northwestern kind of one of those teams that when I back as a short dog on the road, generally doesn't end well. But my eyes are telling me this is a Northwestern game, +2. At Circa now, it's at 2 minus 105, about to go to 1.5. I do lean Northwestern here on that play. St. Louis at Richmond, 883, 884 on the rotation number. Richmond opened at 2.5, now flat 3 on the Vegas Strip. 52% of the bets, 70% of the money on the Billikens of St. Louis.
This has $75,000 on the game, 66% of the money, 59% of the tickets on Richmond.
Yeah, I lean St. Louis, but again, that's Richmond is the Spiders killed us last year. Haven't had a good read on them. I see the reasoning. I'm staying away. I think it'll actually be a pretty good game to watch. This next game, I just can't get it off my radar. Rotation number 887, 888. It's an Ivy League game. We've done very well this year at ECSI on the Ivy League. Harvard plays Princeton back-to-back. Today's at Princeton, tomorrow's at Harvard. 66% of the bets, 70% of the money coming in on Harvard. The line opened at 8, now 7.5 at Circa minus 105, soon to be 7. It's one of these games that the number opened up at 8, only barking and screaming for Harvard money. They're getting it. Curious what pregame has.
Pregame says the game opened at 7.5, has it 7.5. 37,000 on the game, so one of the lower bet games, mid-lower ones. 58% of the money, 62% of the tickets on Princeton.
I'm going to stay away. I just think that number's there to get as much Harvard money as possible. They'll probably be a 2-point underdog at home tomorrow against Princeton. I just think Princeton wins by double digits. I can't wait to see how that game plays out. I just think that number seems a little high to attract the Harvard money. Rotation number 893, 894, Texas State at Troy. Troy, 62% of the bets, 80% of the money, yet Texas State opened up at 1.5, now 2.
$32,000 on the game, 59% of the money, 54% of the tickets on Troy.
Yeah, I know a lot of the shops are trying to hit Troy. I think that if you look at Ken Palm and you look at their records, this line doesn't make any sense. Maybe it is a Troy line. I'm going to stay away. I just wanted to bring it up. Iowa at Nebraska. Nebraska just tells Hoiberg that he's coming back next year. What a country. Iowa opened at 11.5, now 12.5, does hit 13 at DraftKings. 57% of the bets, 57% of the money on the Hawkeyes.
Well, this is the number one bet college basketball game of the night. $104,000 on the game. 77% of the money, 82% of the tickets on Iowa.
Yeah, it's a game that I would totally expect that Iowa wins by double digits. Is it 10, though? Is it 11? I mean, this Nebraska team is horrendous. I'm going to stay away. The over does intrigue me, though. When I see these 161s, it does catch my eye. But I'm seeing 68% of the bets and 67% of the money on that over, and it's still at 161 and a hook.
Yeah, well, they're showing 79% of the money and 63% of the tickets on the over.
Yeah, I got to stay away as well. San Jose State, San Diego State. San Diego State should dictate how many they win by tonight. They opened up at 21.5, now 21. 59% of the bets, 79% of the money on San Jose State to keep it within 21 or less. The only thing I would say, anyone back in the Aztecs tonight, I fully expect them to blow this team out. Is I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have Wyoming on deck. So if they're peaking to next week, they could be playing some grab ass up 10, 12, 15. I fully expect a blowout here, though.
Yeah, $27,000 on the game. 61% of the money is on San Diego State. 58% of the tickets is on San Jose State.
NHL, some big numbers. Columbus, Carolina, opened at 320, now 352. St. Louis and Buffalo opened at 270, now 316. The New Jersey Devils, who shocked the Penguins last night in Pittsburgh, now travel to Chicago. Chicago opened at 145, now 116, Scott. 57% of the bets, 68% of the money on the Devils.
Well, this is the lowest bet NHL game. $23,000 on the game. And 67% of the money on Chicago, 57% of the tickets on Chicago.
I know we've had no luck in our history at ECSI backing the Devils on a Friday night. It just never ends well. They usually end up playing the Capitals, and they're short favorites at home and they get blown out. I'm not comparing the Blackhawks to the Capitals here, but maybe the Devils got something finally. But I'm going to stay away. I'll tell everyone here, I'll lean the Devils, but I'm not playing the Devils. Colorado, Winnipeg opened at 290, now 273. Vegas at Arizona opened at 260, 244. We had the Kings at Arizona on the puck line, and we won 3-2 and actually lost the game. Excuse me. The Kings won the game 3-2. We didn't get the empty net, therefore we lost. Only way I could play this is Vegas and puck line, but I'm not going to go there. The last game intrigues me. Rotation number 75, 76. The Kings again traveled to Anaheim. Anaheim opened up minus 110. It was a 110 game. Now the Kings at minus 107 and the Ducks at minus 103.
Yeah, $58,000 on the game, which is kind of right there at the max. 58, 59, 59 was the biggest numbers bet. 80% of the money on the Kings, 76% of the tickets on the Kings.
Yeah, I know. I feel if I go back to the well again and it's an under over of 5.5, it's the first 1-3 wins this game. So I'll probably be staying away there, but the Kings owe us this week. So, all right, a hell of a show. It's that time. Let me get out of here for Webby's Words of Wisdom.
Well, today, just wanted to talk a little bit about emotions and how emotions kind of get in the way sometimes. And let's just preface it this way. Success is not the key to happiness. happiness is the key to success. So that typically just means that a lot of times you think you're going to be happy after you have won a game or you've done different things, or in your life, you're just happy after you've achieved something. And a lot of times that's true. But if you don't enjoy the process in which you got there, the truth of the matter is you're not going to be able to enjoy how you gain the successes, because it's a grind. Your life is a grind. Everything's a grind. You got to stay at it. You got to stay focused. So if you come off of the grind, usually you get off of that because your emotions are out of kilter. And some of those emotions that can put you out of kilter are anger. You got to avoid anger. You think about it this way. If you have anger, typically you're going to behave in a way that you're going to regret later. So if you're going to regret it later, don't do it in the beginning. Anxiety is another one, right? So anxiety is that person pacing back and forth and waiting, worrying and waiting and worrying and worrying. What aren't they doing because they're doing that? They're not taking any action. They're not doing anything productive. They're not committing to that situation. It's unproductive. So don't be an anxiety person. Frustration can come into play too. Frustration is one of those scenarios where, okay, I've done this over and over and over. I'm not winning. I'm getting very frustrated. I'm going to quit. Don't do that. The piece of frustration that puts into play is one of those roadblocks that the successful people overcome, because they've learned to be tough-minded in ways that others can't. They tend to talk to themselves. They tend to motivate and inspire and give themselves the pep talk that they need to get through it. They revert back to why they started, and they can see that message and get back in the right mindset. Success can also often, a lot of times, lead to isolation. And I say that because if you're really stick-to-itive to where you're at, what you're doing, what the processes are, what your scenarios are to get to that, it isolates you from a lot of other things, which is not a bad thing. But it is bad in the sense that you need to engage other people. You need to talk. You need to get things out of your system. You need to talk to people. You need to enjoy life. And if you're not engaging with people, a lot of times that isolation doesn't allow you to be as successful as you can. You're not going to be celebrating your wins with just yourself. Fear is another one, right? Don't let fear be a problem. Look fear in the eyes, and just go through it anyway. The way you beat fear is you take action. You just go do. Like we talked about yesterday, ready, shoot, aim. That's what we're doing. We're preparing ourselves. We're taking our shot. And if you miss, you just adjust your aim. That's all. And then stay calm. One of the things is getting overexcited. If you get overexcited, a lot of times what happens is you overlook risk, and you don't want to overlook risk, because risk can be something that can be catastrophic and have you fail. And the last one is authentic. Be authentic, because you know what? When you're not authentic, there's this thing called shame. And shame is something that will shadow you forever, and you'll hide from it and run from it, because you're being a liar and a cheat. You're not authentic. And if you're authentic, shame will never be a part of your vocabulary, because you're just telling it like it is. Whether you were good that day, bad that day, whatever that day, it doesn't matter. So in relation to what we do on a daily basis in the wagering part of things, our world is about wins and losses. So success is all about winning, but you have your ups and you have your downs. So that's where the emotions come into play with what we're doing. You got to remember, success isn't forever. You're not going to be successful every minute of every day, all the time. It's never like that. And failure is not final. So as you're doing these things, those emotions come into play, and they cause some of that stuff. So you need to get to a point where you really focus on the processes and the procedures that you put in place. Learn to enjoy that part of the daily life that you have, and then the emotions will sort of stay out of the way, and success takes care of itself. So that was my message for today.
Great stuff as always. Emotions plays a big part in our lanes, and unfortunately, when people get too emotional, we talk about the tilts of the world, and you talk about all the time poker. And trying to use the same scenarios, and in poker especially, the tilting of the world, and in our games, in our lanes, I should say. The fact of the matter is that I always say I check my ego and my heart at the door every day. And it's something that I try to do on a daily basis. Because if I'm having a bad day and I read the board and I'm just like, you know what, bleep this, they got us last time. They got us last time. They owe us. I turn a 2 or 3 game slate into a 13 game slate just on the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And because I'm emotionally all rattled, I'm fired up. I didn't get my FedEx package. The dog pooped everywhere today, whatever the scenario is. And you can't do that. I talk about the ammonia bottle underneath the kitchen sink. Sometimes I need to open it and take a fresh smell of that and to take a step back. And I always preach this, 2 things. If you're having a bad day, you can always reset. There's 24 hours in the day. You're supposed to sleep 8 hours of the day. If I sleep 8 hours in 2 days, I had a good 2 days of sleep. But the fact of the matter is, you got time to turn a bad day into an okay day or even a good day. And second of all, I teach myself to breathe. I teach myself to count to 10 before I respond, or I overreact, I should say. Lots of times people say a lot of things, Scott, and you don't have to believe them. God gave us 2 ears for a reason: to take in the noise, to process the noise, and to let out the noise. And it is what it is. And everyone has an opinion, like everyone has a lot of other things. So good stuff as usual.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to talk to Mr. Scott after we get over after the show. My ECSI bowling tournament we sponsor for the NEBA, the New England Bowlers Association, will be in East Providence. I will be making an appearance there. So I'm going to talk to Scott about potentially a breakfast bankroll show earlier than later. Otherwise, I will catch you at some point in the afternoon, probably from a bowling alley, which probably would be a little too loud. So, but everyone here, any comments, questions, and concerns, you can always reach me at EC Sports Invest. You can reach Scott at Webby20MLB. Any emails, questions there, it's at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. And anyone that's not following us on YouTube, just go over there, check out East Coast Sports Investors, subscribe. It's free. Smash the like button. And if you're a Twitch subscriber, do the same. We have some good stuff brewing there. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, and Scott Webb, always remember this: wager and invest responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available to you. Use it. Ask for help. Why? Because myself and Scott want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson, and Scott Webb, we wish everyone a blessed evening. Good luck with your tickets tonight, and we will see you hopefully bright and early tomorrow morning.